And it's so transparently obvious. And I'll be honest, I think what she did to you is abhorrent. She was a clown then, she's a clown now. This entire thing for her is political. Trump didn't want to back her in a statewide race in Georgia, and she's a conspiracy theorist then, and she's a conspiracy theorist now. And I would caution you. I would caution you.
I don't think Joe Rogan is.
Scott Jennings just called Marjorie Taylor Greene a clown and a conspiracy theorist live on CNN. He even described her as abhorrent. Those were his exact words, and he believed every one of them. But there was one major problem, and David Hogg spotted it immediately before Jennings could even finish making his point. If Marjorie Taylor Greene is a clown and a conspiracy theorist today, then what was she 6 weeks ago when the President of the United States was speaking with Tucker Carlson on the phone? What was she 6 months ago when Donald Trump was openly embracing these same people? What does it say about the man Scott Jennings has spent years defending if he built his entire political movement alongside people he is now forced to describe as repulsive on national television? That was the question that completely changed the mood in the room. David Hogg asked it calmly, clearly, and without the slightest hesitation. That is especially remarkable considering this is the same woman who chased him through the halls of Congress, accusing him of being a crisis actor after students at his high school were murdered. Let us take a closer look at everything that unfolded. Taylor Greene for breaking with Donald Trump and expressing their buyer's remorse.
The thing that has been very fascinating, especially about Marjorie and Candace, is that they are not just coming out like the other ones that you'd mentioned, where they're saying this action is wrong, right? They're saying, I am done with you. We should give them credit for that.
So if somebody is ready to take that step and at least talk to us and maybe do something differently, the message cannot be, I told you so. The message has to be, welcome aboard. What else can we do together?
Ilhan Omar is saying, give them credit. Pete Buttigieg is saying, let's hold hands and say, what can we do together? Do you think that's the right move?
So look, I have to address something first, which is that when I was, I've had a personal interaction with Marjorie Taylor Greene. When I was 18 after the shooting at my high school, when I was lobbying members of Congress, my fellow activists in March for Our Lives, Marjorie Taylor Greene, before she was a member, started chasing me around saying that the shooting at my high school didn't happen, that I was a crisis actor, that I was paid by the government to do all these just horrible things that are completely false. And at the same time, what those conversations that they're talking about remind me of is my own evolution as an activist. In terms of when I was in college, I didn't go to college to just be surrounded by a bunch of liberals necessarily. I know that's hard for you guys to believe, but it's true. That's why I joined the shooting club when I was in college. And as you can imagine, Scott, I was not very popular there. But it's important to talk to people who disagree with us, because ultimately, even though we're Democrats and Republicans, we have to find what little overlap there is that we can move forward on. And look, we can speculate all we want on her intentions and why she's doing this ultimately. But from my perspective, I'm willing to take that first step and have that conversation with her. And I would challenge her to this too. If she wants to come on your show and talk to me directly about why she's changed her mind, I'm happy to do that and have that conversation. And I would challenge her to do that and prove to us why she actually is authentic and changing, and that this is not just another opportunistic political opportunity like it was when she chased me after the shooting at my high school. But I'm willing to give her a small chance to have that conversation. But it's important to note too, this is not just a Marjorie Taylor Greene phenomenon. We're seeing Tucker Carlson. We're seeing people across the board defect increasingly from Trump.
Okay. What do all those people have in? What do all those people have in common, by the way?
Trump.
What is it they all have in common?
Ago and now he doesn't.
When I hear Ilhan Omar, you know what I hear? How do you do, fellow anti-Semites? That's what I hear.
Yeah, that's
this is about Israel.
Not
this
so
is about.
fast.
There is a thread here, and it's so transparently obvious. And I'll be honest. I think what she did to you is abhorrent. She was a clown then. She's a clown now. This entire thing for her is political. Trump didn't want to back her in a statewide race in Georgia, and she's a conspiracy theorist then, and she's a conspiracy theorist now. And I would caution you. I would caution you.
I don't think Joe Rogan's an anti-Semite. I don't think Andrew Schultz is an anti-Semite. I don't think Eric Erickson is an anti-Semite.
No.
I think there's a lot of people around the country whose names we don't know.
We're talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson.
You're saying other people.
But just one second.
What do all of them have in common?
Even if you say that the only thing that is important about these those three individuals in particular is that they're anti-Semitic. What does it say about the president that he was totally fine with them 6 months ago?
Well, and they were totally fine with him.
What does it say?
Look, he attracted a lot of people, and some of the people that he attracted, like that have those views, I completely and totally disagree with. And he has been quite clear about his views on these issues, and he has led the party away from those views, and that's frankly one of the reasons they're not in it anymore.
He spoke on the phone with Tucker Carlson about 6 weeks ago.
What did he say? What did he say about him last week?
But why? I mean, look, you're arguing to me that they are repulsive people who are anti-Semitic. The president of the United States is on the phone with them, and
he disavowed them last week.
I'm just saying.
that you're talking
but let's go back to what David said, because I think it's important. I mean, is there a way to work with a Marjorie Taylor Greene, or I mean, Candace Owens? Candace Owens, really? Is that really what Democrats are going to be doing?
Marjorie Taylor Greene, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, and others are responsible for creating the personality that we are dealing with in the White House today and all of the issues that come along. I believe the best indicator of future performance is to look at past performance. Marjorie Taylor Greene hasn't had any great Jesus moment. We've been talking a lot about him. Let me bring him to the table. She hasn't had some great Jesus moment. This is all about her. What attention would Marjorie Taylor Greene be getting today if she had not turned so fully against the president? I'm not a believer. Now, for Ilhan Omar, thank you. I believe she has the best intentions, but I'm not ready to turn my back and invite Marjorie Taylor Greene to any table that I'm seated at.
Let's remember what the issue was that drove a wedge between Donald Trump and some of his biggest supportive Republican women, like Nancy Mace, like Lauren Boebert, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and it was the Epstein files. And as much as I disagree with them, some of them are still in Congress on so many things, I do give them credit for not having bent the knee when he brought Lauren Boebert into the Situation Room and tried to bully her into not voting for the release of the files. Now, what I would say to Ilhan Omar, what I would say to Pete Buttigieg, as somebody who broke with my party in 2015, the minute the guy came down the escalator and started talking about Mexicans and immigrants, is that it is hard. Pete Buttigieg is right. When you've been part of a party your entire life, when your circles, your social circles, your family circles, your professional circles are made up in that party, it is very hard to make that break. But I don't think Democrats have to say, come in, the water is warm, because it is a personal decision. It is not one that is led by people being your cheerleaders. You do it because you feel uncomfortable with the guy who's leading the party, not because you have a cheering section telling you to jump into the pool.
And just quickly, I mean, the polling suggests that there is erosion, despite the MAGA number that Trump likes to tout. And,
Let us talk about what this debate was really exposing, because it reaches far beyond a single panel discussion on one afternoon. During that segment, David Hogg made a decision that deserves to be recognized. He sat across from a discussion about Marjorie Taylor Greene, the woman who followed him through the halls of Congress after the Parkland shooting, called him a crisis actor, claimed his classmates were never murdered, and accused him of being a paid government operative. Even after all of that, he said he was still willing to have a conversation with her, not because she deserved that opportunity or had earned it, but because he believes that talking across political divides matters more than simply shutting people out. That is not weakness. It reflects a level of discipline and political maturity that many people twice his age never reach, and it should not go unnoticed. Then Ana Navarro made the point that cut straight to the heart of the discussion, and I believe she was right. Marjorie Taylor Greene did not simply stand beside this movement. She helped create it. She traveled across the country promoting it, defending the indefensible, and encouraging people to embrace a style of politics that led to January 6th, fueled the conspiracy theories David Hogg experienced firsthand, and sparked years of harassment against private citizens, school shooting survivors, election workers, and anyone else who stood in the way. She did not accidentally become part of it. She built it piece by piece and turned it into her political career. Now, the Epstein files have become part of the national conversation.
Trump chose not to support her statewide race in Georgia, and support among white voters without college degrees, one of the strongest pillars of the MAGA coalition, has fallen from roughly 6 in 10 to less than half over the course of a year. That is not a small shift. It is a sign that the foundation beneath the movement is changing. Suddenly, Marjorie Taylor Greene has discovered her conscience. History has seen this pattern before. When Senator Joseph McCarthy fell from power, many politicians and media figures who had spent years promoting and protecting him did not admit they were wrong. Instead, they rewrote their own stories. They created distance, claimed they had always held private doubts, and tried to place themselves on the right side of history without honestly earning that position. For the most part, the public allowed it, because the demand for accountability often fades once the immediate crisis is over. That is the gamble Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, and Candace Owens appear to be making today. They are betting that people will be so relieved to see prominent voices from that world separate themselves from Trump that no one will pay close attention to the timing. They hope political convenience will be mistaken for a genuine moral awakening. They expect arriving late to be treated the same as doing the right thing from the beginning. Scott Jennings calling Marjorie Taylor Greene a clown today does not erase the years when those same voices were treated as serious political figures who deserved a national platform. Jennings also defended Trump's rejection of Tucker Carlson while acknowledging that the president had spoken with him just 6 weeks earlier. That is not really a defense. It is the exact contradiction David Hogg pointed out, and Jennings never found a way to answer it. Here's the question I want you to think about. If someone helps start a fire, watches it burn for years, and only grabs a bucket after the flames begin reaching their own home, do they deserve praise for fighting the fire? That was the real debate taking place beneath all the accusations, the headlines, and the insults. The real issue was never whether Marjorie Taylor Greene had changed. It was whether that change means anything when it arrives at such a convenient moment and after such a long record of actions. Share your thoughts below. Do you believe these political reversals from Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, and Candace Owens are sincere? Or do you think they are simply responding to the polls and protecting themselves? I want to hear where you stand. We will continue following every one of these political shifts, and we will not let the record be forgotten.